What's happening? Your boy is back. Not just me, but also Deshaun Watson back as the starting QB for the Cleveland Browns. And it was like anybody who watch football, anybody who pay attention to the sport, anybody who into how business works and how things happen, you already knew that Deshaun was going to start. How long he going to start? That's up in the air. But the fact that he's starting, how many times do we have to see that when you put Deshaun in a room next to other people, he is an elite athlete. You're not going to take that away from him. No matter what type of little disparaging commentary you might hear, regardless of what kind of past history he may have and your opinion of him, it doesn't change the fact he's still a premier athlete. Even at this age, even at this stage in his game and age in his game, you still seeing him do just as good as Shador Sanders did when they both played with the first team. Excuse me, pardon me. You know how it is a little late night sit with your boy. But also, you seen that he was still able to move around in the pocket, get outside, make breaks and runs. You know what I'm saying? He had a couple bad throws, but you know what? People don't seem to remember who Deshaun Watson is. Deshaun Watson has never been a Peyton Manning or a Tom Brady where he just sit back in the pocket and throw passes. That's what we hope that Shador is. Honestly. I like Shador. He has a lot of his dad's skills and he can evade really well. He does really good evade skill. He has really good evade skills when you see him in the pocket and it looked like he about to get tackled and boom, he break out and he hit you for a little 20-yard play or something like that. A lot of that gets overlooked with Shador, but Shador's still not ready because he doesn't read the field well. And you've seen it even in the preseason with the first stringers or some of the first stringers when he threw that pass behind his target. It's because he's seen it too late. And although Shador is very accurate, timing plays a major factor in your mid game, 10 to 15 yards. We're not talking about over 20. We're not talking about under 10. But about 10 to 15, 10 to about 19 yards, that game right there, especially middle of the field, slants, cuts, crosses, misdirections, different things like that, really plays in to a quarterback elite status. Elite quarterbacks can really manipulate the middle of the field. The outside of the field, the long passes, things like that, that's things that any kind of quarterback can do because any professional quarterback should be able to do because those are the easier plays because it's like, hey, yo, jump ball or I'm giving it to my man or there's nobody around him and he can go right out of bounds, like less room for error. If I overthrow him, it's going out of bounds. There's not really a lot of mistakes that can be made. But when you play in the middle of the field, mistakes can be made and they can be very costly. And Shador will have a lot of those because right now the game, I won't say that it's moving too fast for him, but it's definitely not moving at a pace that he's comfortable with because he's not seeing things as soon as he should see them. Now, you might say Deshaun is doing the same thing, but no, Deshaun is not. Deshaun may be a little rusty, but we've seen him participate and play at a high level at the NFL, in the NFL. We've seen him be a starting quarterback for a franchise and lead them into the playoffs. There was at a point in time where Deshaun Watson was on the same pedestal, if you will, with Patrick Mahomes and the other great quarterbacks. Now it's Josh Allen. At one time it was Deshaun Watson, which is why the Browns went and got him. He was already the highest paid, most talented quarterback other than Patrick Mahomes at that time. Things have derailed. Things have changed. There's been some injuries. However, it doesn't change the fact that Todd Monken, a coach who had very little interaction with the Browns other than when he was here, he's been with the Baltimore Ravens. He's been with Lamar Jackson. He's been doing his thing there. He's having success. We brought him here. And after weeks of watching Deshaun Watson and Shador Sanders and Dylan Gabriels and the rookie, I forget his name, but I know his last name is Green. I think it's Tylen Green or Taylon Green or something like that. Sorry about that, folks. But he has come out as the best option to win games. This is not something that you sneeze at or look past or just say, hey, Monken don't know what he's talking about. This is not something that you dismiss. This is something that you take very hard looks at and really understand. These are people who are with them every day. These are people who are around athletes every day. These are people who are around NFL players every day. And every time Deshaun Watson is put up against another NFL player, he gets the better look because he is truly an athlete. Now, I'm not saying that that means that he's going to go off and do some great things for the Browns, because first off, we have to realize and remember, the Browns are not a great franchise. The Browns are not historically known for winning, for knowing how to develop quarterbacks. We've had a few who have been decent or good enough, or we've had one great. Man, that was so many years ago. Most people that even see this on YouTube wouldn't even know who I was talking about in Brian Sipe. You've only heard about him. You've never seen him unless you watch old footage, just kind of like Jim Brown. But in modern football, the Browns are not an organization that is geared towards winning. They're not synonymous with winning. None of the things that they do prove that they're winning. So everything is kind of, hey, this is just how it goes. Or hey, they're just trying something new. Give me a second. Salute. This is tequila for anybody out there wondering. If you're drinking tequila, have a shot with me, have a sip. But when I'm listening to 92.3 on the fan, all I'm hearing is whining and complaining, some to a lesser degree than others. Deshaun Watson is the best quarterback on our roster. Why is that so hard for people to believe? Because the perception has been that Deshaun Watson is a loser, Deshaun Watson is a creep, and all of these other things. Do we really care about that, Cleveland? Do we really care about that as a fan base? How many boos will we hear from Mike Vrabel this week when he's in Cleveland coaching the New England Patriots? So I don't really care to hear about that. I don't really care. Deshaun Watson was never convicted of anything, and there may be questionable things, but rich people do questionable shit. That's just how it goes. Did not the 49ers owner just get caught in Ohio because, the 49ers owners live it or are from Ohio? If you didn't know that. But their owner got caught in Ohio for, late night activities. Maybe it was midday. I don't know. I didn't read the story all that much, and I will. I'll be better at reporting because I definitely do this. But where's the hype? Where's the outrage for that? Okay, Mike Vrabel, we know what he went through. Where's the hype? Where's the outrage for that? Those things get swept under the rug. But because Deshaun Watson is Deshaun Watson in Houston, and they really didn't want to let him go, and they made a smear campaign out of it with an ambulance chasing lawyer who got debunked as being a truthful lawyer or even credible when he tried to go after Jay-Z. Hey, big bank takes small bank, or maybe you're just lying. Okay? Maybe you just go with the lies. But anyway, back to Deshaun Watson. Getting the QB1 for the Cleveland Browns. No shocker to anybody who watches football. And I like Shador. And I see a lot of promise in Shador. But this is the one thing I think everybody is missing. Why break Shador? How many quarterbacks has the Cleveland Browns as an organization destroyed? How many times have they mishandled and fumbled the bag with a quarterback? Our last one was Baker Mayfield. Now, Baker Mayfield gets a lot of praise for being in the NFC South. However, that's a weak division. It's getting better. But Baker is still Baker. Baker's not doing anything down there that he didn't do in Cleveland. Only thing is that for Cleveland, if you're not one of the top three, you're not good enough. And that's crap. That's crap right there, because you don't need a top three quarterback to win a Super Bowl. Haven't we seen anything with Sam Darnold and Jalen Hurts, Matthew Stafford? Great quarterbacks, good quarterbacks, but not quarterbacks that anybody ever put in the top three, especially in the years that they won a Super Bowl. Now Matthew Stafford does get a look. I've always liked Stafford, but he was in Detroit, so nobody gave him a look. What I'm trying to say here is that you should already know what I'm saying. If you don't, then you're slow, and that's okay because slow people need time to catch up, and that's all right. We got a whole season to ride through. Deshaun Watson is our best option at quarterback right now. Shador Sanders will do what Shador Sanders does, and I believe he has that blood in him, that prime time DNA. I've seen him make some remarkable out of the pocket escape maneuvers that no other player can do, and then throw the ball on a dime. I think there's something there. I think there's something to build on because Deshaun Watson, Shador Sanders are playmakers. Dylan Gabriel is more of a I read the pocket. If you could take Dylan Gabriel's brain and put it in Shador Sanders' body, right? You would, I guarantee you would have an elite top 5 quarterback in the league right now. We would talk and lament about how great of a athlete and also a tactician he is. Because I do believe that Dylan Gabriel has a very smart brain, a very smart computer-like brain. He picks up processes very quickly. He just can't execute them. And he has to pick them up quickly because that's his strength, because he's small. He's a very small, he like my height. You know what I'm saying? He's like my height as a quarterback in the NFL. I don't know if his hands is bigger than mine's. I hope so. But he'll be great. He'll be a great coach and doing some things later on. But Dylan Gabriel is not going to be a part of this competition. And so when you're looking at Shador and you're looking at Deshaun, you really have to look at the fact that, excuse me, Shador is just not ready. It's not to say that he won't ever be a good quarterback, because I think he's a good quarterback now. I think if we started Shador right now, we have a possibility of winning 5 to 7 games. I think that by starting Deshaun, unless something is shown to me differently, because like I said before, Deshaun's first 2 seasons with us, he didn't play a full season, but he did play 12 games. He was 8-4. He was 8 wins, 4 losses. For those of you who don't know what 8-4 means, he was 8 wins, 4 losses. That was in the first 2 years he played with us, although he only played 6 games each season. If there's anything to not like about Deshaun, which is something I worried about, it was how would he fare in the AFC North? A division that is physical, a division that he did not have a lot of success against before coming here to Cleveland. Excuse me. It was just, I didn't know. And then with Stefanski not being the kind of coach that Deshaun would really thrive under, because Stefanski, liked more of a pocket passer. Deshaun Watson is a playmaker. Deshaun Watson is the reason we went to the playoffs when everybody tried to give Joe Flacco all of the credit. Joe Flacco did not take us to the playoffs. Deshaun Watson set us up on a path where they would even consider Joe Flacco so that we could make the playoffs, because our defense was playing at a great level and Deshaun was winning games. I don't know when it changed that from being a winning quarterback, now all of a sudden you have to impress and have all of these crazy stats. It's nice, but it's not necessary. There are plenty of quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts in particular, who don't put up impressive stats every week. And if it wasn't for the tush-push play, Jalen Hurts might not even be a high-scoring quarterback as far as touchdowns, but he takes a lot from Saquon Barkley, which I hate in fantasy league. But he still is effective because he's strong enough to get up in there. He does what he's supposed to do. They take advantage of his better attributes versus trying to always correct or downgrade him because of what he can't do. The same thing the Browns have to learn to do. We will not have a quarterback until we have a team that can surround and support a quarterback of equal talent. We may have that with Shador, but there is of no stretch of the imagination do I think that the Browns are not drafting a quarterback in the first round next year. Why else would you be stacking up all these draft picks and making the moves you made? Why else would you have gotten rid of Myles Garrett? Why else would you have done the things you have done if you weren't trying to get another shot at a quarterback in 2027? I think that is very true. But that doesn't mean that that's because Shador is gone, Deshaun is gone. You want to raise the level of competition in that room. So if you have an elite athlete, regardless of what people think about him, if you have an up and coming young quarterback who has skills and big play capability, why would you as a franchise not go after another quarterback and keep that pressure going? Look at the San Francisco 49ers, even though I think they got lucky because I think Shanahan is on his last leg. To get Brock Purdy, a better than average quarterback for the value that they got him at, and who has done things with that team that nobody thought that what is he, a 6th, 7th round pick, okay? Because we always like to talk about the pick that Shador was at. Nobody cares once you're in the NFL, okay? Once you get in the league, it's about you making it in the league. Only people that care are people who are in media or they get they're trying to get likes. Nobody cares once you get in the league. So Shador being a 5th round pick has no bearing on anything. Because if you're not going to compare him to the greatest of that comes out of 5th and 6th and 7th round picks, don't compare him to anybody. That's just my thought process on it. But when you're looking at the league and you're looking at what kind of quarterbacks win who make smart decisions on good teams. Sam Darnold was considered a bust, considered nothing. And Baker Mayfield, they both won the Carolina Panthers. Baker Mayfield has rejuvenated his career as being a top 15, mid 15 quarterback, and Sam Darnold just won a Super Bowl. Stop lying to us, all right? Stop trying to paint some picture of what it's supposed to be, especially in Cleveland. We have such a bad sense of reality because it's more about what a lot of our media, and I like listening to 92.3 The Fan. I do. I like listening to the morning, the afternoon. I mean, whether I'm at work or whether I'm working from home, I always try and keep them on and just try and keep a pulse of what they're saying because it's so crazy sometimes. Sometimes it's right on. Sometimes it's so crazy that you can tell that they do not understand what it is they're doing. But I do understand that you're trying to make up some type of business where they can live off controversy or off saying the things. They always compare themselves to 92.3, the Philadelphia crowd or the New York crowd or there's another rough crowd, but Philadelphia and New York, they wouldn't last up there if they was there. But at the same token, we're not Philadelphia. We're not New York. Is that what you're trying to be? Are you trying to be Philadelphia or New York? I've lived in a couple different places and I'm always in tune with sports. And not every media treats their fans or their team the way that the Cleveland media treats their fans and their team. We treat our fans, and I say we because I'm part of Cleveland media now, whether it's official or not, but I'm on here and I'm talking about it. We treat our fans as if they shouldn't know any better or that we know they don't pay attention, so we just try and give them what they want to hear. And that's very volatile. Because when you see Deshaun Watson on the field in a preseason game getting booed, what do you think other players think about that? Younger players that we want to impress and that we want to be have on our team. What do you think how do you think that translates to them when you have a player on the field really putting his life on the line? You know, a good portion of his health and his life is on the line. Football players they subject themselves to tremendous punishment for our enjoyment. That's where the respect comes in of even just liking or dealing with a football player on your team who is willing to put his body and his life on the line in order for you to have fun on a Sunday because you worked at a crappy job all week. We have to put this in perspective and keep it where it's supposed to be kept. Deshaun Watson doesn't owe the city of Cleveland anything. Shador Sanders doesn't have to do anything for the Cleveland Browns or Cleveland, and he's still going to be okay. He comes from money. Deshaun Watson has made money. A lot of us in Cleveland, a lot of people are mad because of the money that they made because, like, he didn't earn it. But he did earn it. He earned it by being the best at his position, at his age group, at his time, throughout the majority of his life. And there's nothing about Deshaun Watson, regardless of the results, that is not showing me that he's not trying. He's not coming to practice. He's not trying to make an effort to be there. He doesn't have to do this. Remember, he already got his money. He's still coming to training and practice and still trying to work his way back from an injury ahead of time and still doing things that he don't have to do. He's $250 million, regardless of how we feel. And I was so glad that he decided to be real last Saturday at the second preseason game where he didn't do too good. He didn't do good. But to just put the people of Cleveland and the Cleveland fan base in check, he doesn't have to care about you. He doesn't have to care about what you think, how you feel, but he does because he wants to appease you. He wants to be a good athlete for this city. But really, you don't. You're not going to change Deshaun Watson's life. You're not. Regardless of how much you boo, regardless of how much you try and act like you hate him, regardless of how much you try and take out your own personal things on him, you're not. Like I said, if we were that type of city where really, really cared about morale and who you are as a person and how upstanding you are, and I know a lot of people wanted him as a coach, but will there be boos for Mike Vrabel, who just went through a situation? Regardless of what you think about Deshaun, he wasn't married. When you break sacred vows, and a lot of you like to go off religion and all of that, when you break those vows, when you cheat on your wife, that means nothing because you win football games. So if we're not going to be that type of city, that valor of a city, that city that, oh, we care about virtue more than anything, then let's stop it. Let's stop it. Stop bull crapping. Stop you know what? I'm actually on YouTube. Stop bullshitting about what you care about and what you don't, because you don't care about anything but winning football. And Todd Monken made the right decision by choosing Deshaun Watson for the first week of the season as the starter because he's the best option to win. Todd Monken doesn't owe the city of Cleveland anything. He walked into a situation where he knew very little about. Maybe he knew some things because he's in the league and in the profession. But looking at Deshaun and looking at Shador, he made a decision. That's all he did was make a decision. You have to learn how to live with that decision. Because you, disgruntled Cleveland fans, are making this more difficult and harder than it has to be. The way that you think you win a championship has not brought you a championship, so why keep doing it? Think about that. Every man